Good morning and welcome to On the Prowl, Florida Panthers Road Trip Woes, episode 38. I'm your host, Bill. Hope everyone is doing well today. Decided to go ahead and do a live stream. I've done a couple of these before, and I thought, why not? I know I got a lot of positive comments the last time we did that. And also, for those of you following on X, if you want to join the conversation in the chat and post your questions, feel free to click on the link in the pinned post on X. That would be great. What I have up on the screen right now, just want to let you know, for those of you who are new to Florida Panthers Den, where we have social media available. I dropped a link in the chat right there, and you can see we are on multiple platforms. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube as well. So feel free to join us there. Also, I have podcasts that are posted out there as well on Spotify and Podbean. So you can go ahead and check those out. So, you know, it was very easy to come up with a title of this episode because, the road trip woes, and that's exactly what we're going through. And I thought I want to go ahead and take a look and kind of level set things for people, just to let you know where the Panthers stand, where things are. First of all, the next game is not until Tuesday at 7:30. They're playing Boston in Boston. This will be a homecoming for Brad Marchand. It's going to be, I'm sure it's going to be very emotional for him and as well as the team. And it's going to end their road trip. And the Panthers will be back home Thursday night to face the Penguins. And then Saturday, they will be placed at home again against the Golden Knights from Vegas. So we're going to kind of jump into this here. Now, one of the things I hear a lot from people, okay, I just absolutely hear this a lot here is, got the wrong link up here. So hold on for a second. All right. Okay, I put the wrong link up there. So pardon me for that. All right, let's see if I can go ahead and get the right link up here. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. Okay. Wanted to go over the injury situation, just to kind of level set things for everybody, let them know where things are right now. Of course, Alexander Barkov is out 7 to 9 months with his knee. Expectations are he would possibly be ready for the playoffs in April. Matthew Tkachuk is out for at least another 2 more months. Expectations are probably end of December, beginning of January for him to come back. Thomas Nosek, I've seen confusing information on him. The latest that I have officially from the Panthers that he's out an additional 2 more months, probably middle of December is what I heard on that. Dmitry Kulikov out 5 months, but again, I hear some conflicting information that he could be back sooner than that as well. And then, of course, the other night, Nico Mikkola, upper body, and they'll know more on Monday. That was from the game against the Sabres the other day. So that's kind of like TBD. So taking this into effect, all right, and one of the things I want to level set things. Last year, and a lot of people have very short-term memory when it comes to seasons. And if you go back to last season, we started out, Barkov was out at least 6 weeks at the beginning of the season last year. And they had to do without him. And then, of course, we all know that after the Four Nations, we had to do without Matthew Tkachuk for a while. So, they're no stranger to this, all right? And Paul Maurice is pretty adamant yesterday in his post-game press conference that this is not an excuse, all right? We have other people that can step up and fill the void here. So, I mean, you can't replace Alexander Barkov and you can't replace Matthew Tkachuk, but you have people that can step up and fill their roles, okay, and to perform well, all right? So, and the next thing that I hear in conjunction with all this, well, it's a Stanley Cup hangover, all right? They've been to the Stanley Cup Finals 3 years in a row. They only have like basically 2 months of an off season, and then they go back at it again. And and I have to say this, from everything I've heard from all the players after they won the cup, especially this year, and a lot of the days following, and then after the parade and the interviews and things, to a man, they all said, they're still hungry for this again. It's not, they're not. They want to win it again. All right, don't think that they do not want to win this again. All right, I really kind of dismiss also the fact as far as the hangover is concerned, because they all love to play hockey. All right, bottom line is this. All right, and the Panthers have an incredible training regimen, and they have nutritionists that work with the team. Their trainers are fantastic with them, and strength and conditioning. And I think that's, for the most part, a lot of the reason why, a team, I feel, that is better prepared with strength and conditioning, injuries will come, but I think they can heal faster from them. I think in a lot of instances they can avoid them. And I think in a lot of instances, it bodes very well for them for the long haul as far as that's concerned. So I really kind of dismiss the talk of a Stanley Cup hangover, and I know people say, physically, I mean, it's a toll on them. But these are athletes, okay? This is what they do, okay? I work in an office environment. A lot of you work in an office environment, okay? You're skilled tradesmen. And, you know, we go in and we're trained to do our jobs, and we're trained to do that every day. And, we get vacation time during the year, but, our focus until we retire, excuse me, is on our job. And that's their job. And, to a man, I think each one of them says, that they really like playing hockey. They enjoy that. It's part of their passion. And if you look at, for instance, say Sergei Bobrovsky, you know, Paul Maurice has talked about it, how he approaches the game. He lets him go. He lets him do his own thing because he knows what he's doing, and he prepares himself well for the long haul for this. Okay. So again, I really kind of dismiss this talk of the Stanley Cup hangover. I think they're hungry for it again. And I think especially they have a motivational factor this year. Kachuk was out, and now Barkov was out. So if they get to go to the finals and they win again, this may be the greatest of the three cups that they win, is because they face so much adversity. So now there's been a lot of criticism about a lot of the players not playing well. So one of the things that I wanted to do was to call out several of the Panthers who I have seen been playing well, and who I have, a lot of the people I interact with on X will agree here. Okay. And the first one is Tarasov. He is an absolute bright spot. Okay. And I think Bill Zito was spot on in getting him, because obviously he knew him from his time with the Blue Jackets, but he has fit in incredibly well. It's the first time in a long time that I feel good about a backup goaltender for Bob. He has been fantastic. He's had zero support. He has been absolutely fantastic in the net. So I feel he's athletic. He's tall. He gets, he covers the crease very well. I'm very pleased with his play. I think he's going to be an asset for the Panthers, and I hope he stays long term for several years. I think he will be an excellent backup for them. Now, of course, the other one is Bob. I mean, he's playing lights out. I mean, again, no support. But if you watched the game in Buffalo yesterday, that could have easily been, 7-8-0 game if it wasn't for him. He made some incredible, outstanding playoff type Bob caliber saves yesterday. And again, he's had literally no support, but he has played exceptionally well. And it's early in the season for him. The other one is Brad Marchand. Okay. 37 years old. He's older than a majority of the Panthers that are out there. And he's all over the place. Almost every shift I've seen since the season started, he's been involved in plays. He's been trying to make plays. He's cruising in front of the net. He's getting in the dirty areas where goals are scored. And he's making some noise, and he's disturbing people. And he's doing his job, and he's doing it very well. And he's enthusiastic. I mean, he has kind of stepped up in the locker room in the absence of Barkov and Kachuk, and has really been a vocal leader, if not a real team leader at this time. So my hat is off to Brad. I think he's doing a great job. Just continuing that the right direction. And the other one who I think is doing really well, and it's been pointed out by Coach as well too, is Mackie Samoskevich. Mackie has been all over the place. He is not afraid to fire the puck. Paul has put him on some different lines. I like his enthusiasm, his energy. He goes after pucks in corners. He's not battle shy. He gets in there and he wants to score. He wants to put the puck in the back of the net. And it's going to happen sooner rather than later for him. He's going to break out. And I just really like his enthusiasm level, his compete level, his energy level. It's all there. All right. Now that's who is playing well. Who's not playing well? The rest of the team. All right. I'm sorry. We have, and then I'm going to move on real quickly here. Let's go. I'm going to go back here. All right. The rest of the team here. All right. And I've called out, and we're gonna get to that in a slide here. At least 3 players who I know need to step up. All right. They just, they've been perceived as leaders of the team. Now it's time to get them to step up. Now it's time for them to make some noise. Now it's time for them to shine. They need to step up at this point in time. It's kind of ridiculous. And I'm also going to kind of give some observations as to what I think may be transpiring as far as that's concerned. So, taking a look at the final stats from the last 4 games, okay, there's some things that should alarm you here, okay? The Panthers have only scored 4 goals in 4 games, all right? That's not a good sign, okay? And look at their power play. Yesterday, they were 0 for 7. The game against New Jersey, they were 0 for 5. And the game against Detroit, they were 0 for 2, all right? And then in Philadelphia, they were 1 for 5. So those aren't good numbers. They need to improve the power play. I mean, that's abysmal. That even early in the season, abysmal. Okay, that needs to improve right there. All right, and then their shot totals, except for yesterday. Okay, in a game against New Jersey, Detroit, and Philadelphia, they were in the 20s. Okay, they're usually in the 30s and sometimes approach the 40s. And these numbers do tell a story here, and it's not a good one right now. All right. They need to kind of ramp things up as far as that's concerned here. Now, one of the things I really like to look at is the NHL game score impact card. And basically, in layman's terms, to explain it, the part that you see on the right, those are the good metrics. And the part that you see on the left are the bad metrics. So if you look at those guys on the bottom, those are not good games for them. Okay. And when you see it all the way over on the left, those are just some red flags right there. And you can see this is against the Sabres, against the Devils, and then against the Red Wings and Flyers. I mean, you can tell there's a lot over to the left, and that's not good. All right. That is not good. And it gives you a detailed breakdown. And it's on, you can go follow them on X. It's an NHL game score impact card. Definitely go out there and check that out. That's something I recommend that you follow, especially if you're into statistics here. Now, I'm focusing on 3 players that they all need to step up, but to me, in my mind, the 3 that need to step up the most, number 1 is Sam Reinhart. Okay, what was it 2 years ago? 45, 50 goals from Sam. He's a goal scoring machine. All right, but he's been quiet and a little too quiet, and he needs to step up. I mean, it's just. You expect this from people who have been around the league for a while, who have been a proven commodity, and Sam is definitely a proven commodity. All right, there's no questions asked. I mean, Game 6 of the finals last year, 4 goals in a finals game. I mean, just incredible. All right, he's one of the ones, and the next one is Sam Bennett. All right, and I'm sorry. I love Goldie and Randy. They do. Trust me, we are blessed as Panthers fans to be able to have them to listen to. But one thing Goldie said yesterday, and I know what he was doing, okay? He said, Sam Bennett won the Conn Smythe, okay? Well, Goldie, he's trying to kind of deflect from what's going on right here. All right. He really needs to step up. Okay. You know, got him to agree to the contract, and here we are. And it's just like he's just too quiet. He's missing in action right here. And you know, he was pretty vocal about, you know, we do things the way we want to do them in the playoffs. And you know, he dropped an F-bomb during the parade and afterwards, and so be it. And that's, we do things the way we want to, and that's fine. I agree with him. I don't disagree with him at all. But he needs to step up. And the other one that really needs to step up, okay, I love Aaron Ekblad. I think he's a great player. He needs to step up too. He wears that A on his jersey for a reason, okay? He's one of the leaders of the team, all right? And he needs to step up, both in, you know, in his gameplay and also in the locker room as well too. You know, and I know they have a good locker room. And I know, you know, when things are going well, you know, but when things are not going well like they are right now, you know, people need to step up and take charge. And he's one of the ones that needs to do that. And a lot of times, you know, if you're not vocal in the locker room, okay, you need to be vocal on the ice. You need to step up your play. And he's one of the ones that I think really needs to step up his play right now. It's just not there. It's just for these three guys right now, we expect more from them. Okay. I look to these three as team leaders, and they're not there. And the only one who I think has really kind of stepped in to fill that void is Brad Marchand. But you need all of them. Okay. You know, the Panthers will tell you to a T, you know, there's no one greater than anyone else in that locker room. You know, they work best when they work together, and they really have not been working together. And that's something that they desperately need to do. Now, some final thoughts here, and this is gonna take a little bit, so bear with me here. And one of the things, and I looked in one of the guys I follow out there, a great account, brought this up, and he brings this up each year. Since Paul Maurice has been head coach from 2022 to 2025, the Panthers have lost 3+ games in a row 9 different times. All right. Panthers have lost 4+ games in a row 5 different times. All right. And I'm going to go back to the adage, and I think I have it in another slide, but I want to bring this up right now. All right. And I know Paul has said this in some, not maybe in a direct quote, but I know he has said the regular season is not a sprint. Okay. It's a marathon. All right. Meaning the fact is you have to pace yourself. You're going to have your ebbs and flows during the season, regardless of Kachuk and Barkov and Kulikov being out. All right. You're going to have these ebbs and flows during the season. All right. And it's probably better to experience this now, 7 games into the season, say, than 70 games into the season. And near the end, when you're fighting for to make sure you can get into the playoffs, you don't want to have to be fighting at the end to try to get into the playoffs. But conversely, you don't want to burn yourself out. And I think that's what, you know, that's why, and again, it's coming up in another slide, but we all know how the Panthers are built. They're not built for the regular season. They are built for the playoffs, okay? And that's where they excel, and that's where they do well. The thing is, they need to get in, they need to play well enough to get into the playoffs, all right? So that's, you know, that's really, really, really important here. All right. And then this quote from Jameson Olive from the Panthers. Maurice on getting a breather before Boston on Tuesday. When you're not playing the way you want, you'll take everything as a positive. We need the 2 days rest. That's 7 games in 10.5 days to start for us. It'll be good to get off, to get a practice in. He's right. It's good. It was pretty brutal, you know, these 7 games in 10.5 days. That's a lot. Okay. And we had that back to back this week as well, too. And I'm not saying, and I want to bring this up here too. You know, some of these games, they were not. Yesterday's game was atrocious. Okay, you're playing a team, the Buffalo Sabres. I mean, they've been struggling for years, and they're still struggling. and that should have been a team that you should have been able to win a game against. And not only did that, they got shut out, which was that was not I thought the games, especially against New Jersey, and I thought the game against Philadelphia, for the most part, I thought large parts of the game, they were in the games. Okay. They had a chance. The game against Detroit kind of got out of hand, I thought, a little bit, and so did the game against Buffalo yesterday. But it's not like they're getting totally blown out, because, some of the scores, one of the other things that I wanted to mention too, and I know a lot of people had asked about this, for a couple of games in a row, Maurice is pulling Bobrovsky with 3 minutes left. And I'm just like, wow. Okay. And several other people made that comment as well too. And that's too much time. All right. I generally am a Paul Maurice apologist. I mean, I am 100% supporter of him. I think he's the best coach in the NHL. I love that the Panthers have him. It's just, we are very fortunate to have him behind the bench. But why he did that twice in a row, I know he's trying to provide a spark to his team. And I know, the sooner the better, but it needs to be closer to the 2-minute mark to do something like that. Because, there's a lot of pressure on those 6 skaters out there to maintain that zone, number one. And number two, obviously to try to get the game in a position, either, get another goal to get within striking distance or to tie it up. That's the primary importance there. And, you don't want to have to do that more than 1.5 to 2 minutes. And 3 minutes, I mean, that's really asking a lot of that unit out there. So that's one of the other questions. And we all know, and one of the other things that I wanted to comment on, and I know a lot of people talked about it the other night, the no goal call, the interference call, that was, and I'm going to say this, that was easily the worst call of the season. I know there was another one that a lot of people said that was definitely worse, but for me, in my opinion, okay, it's just, and what the league's explanation for that. I mean, and then you have the referee coming out and saying, it's a good goal. Oops, yeah, I'm going to do an Uno reverse here, and sorry, no, it's the call on the ice stands. It's not a goal, and just total confusion on their part. And I mean, I don't know what they were seeing, but one of the things that I will say about all this, the league needs to really take a good look at goaltender interference and have a clear-cut definition as to what it is. They do not, game in and game out. It's left up to interpretation by the referees on the ice, and we all know how that goes. All right, and it's been horrible. I mean, and they had a goal taken away from them the other night when they could have been in the game, and that was not that. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna say. That's what I'm gonna say about that right there. So, couple of quotes here, and I think these are really good ones. And this was from last night. Quote: "It's not really going in for anyone right now. I think I'd like a little more urgency, a little more assertiveness out of everybody. It's almost like when it's not going your way, especially early on in the year, you start deferring, you start hoping when you get in the offensive zone that something's going to work out, as opposed to taking the bull by the horns." And that was Sam Reinhart's. And then, quote: "We're missing the big guys, but on the other hand, guys have the opportunity to step up and make their way in the team and in the league. It's a good opportunity for them. The structure is there. We have great guys. It's all in our hands." Sergei Bobrovsky. And Bob is right here. Okay. The Lundells, the Lostarinens, the Forslings, on and on and on and on. Okay. These guys have been touted as great players. All right. And they are. It's time for them to step up. Okay. They're not in the shadows right now. They're in the forefront. And in order for us to make a season out of it and to get into the playoffs, we're going to need 100% participation from everybody. And that includes the Lundells, the Lostarinens, the Forslings, Mikkola, Seth Jones, everybody needs to do this. Everybody needs to buy into this. I mean, it's just, one of these things right here. Now, some final thoughts here. it is a long season, and again, I do want to emphasize that fact that it is a marathon and not a sprint. I mean, face it, the Panthers are not built to win the President's Trophy, and that's not the goal and the objective. The goal and the objective is to get into the Stanley Cup playoffs, all right? And then once they get their foot in the door, look what happened. They did not have home ice advantage in the playoffs last year, and they won the cup, all right? Now, the second point that I have here is motivation. A lot of people have been saying they're not motivated, and I could not disagree more. They're motivated. They just haven't found it yet, all right? When they find it, we will all know, all right? And I think that motivation is, with Barkov being out and Kachuk being out and Kulikov being out, okay, it's an adversity. And Paul Maurice has said he wants to use that to his advantage. And combined with the last bullet point on here, Paul Maurice and his staff trusting them to help the Panthers. They will, okay? That's what Paul Maurice does best, all right? And you probably saw my it's not a GIF, it's a short video clip, and I call it Paul Maurice Pay Attention, all right? And he lets it fly at them, and he needs to, all right? He doesn't seem concerned. I've watched the post game from yesterday. He's not concerned in the least here, okay? He's one of the most even-keeled people that I see, especially when he faces the press. Now, how he is in the locker room, there's no cameras in there, so we don't know. But I have faith in him, and I have faith in the assistant coaches as well too, to get to light a fire collectively under the rear ends to get them going. All right. Now we also have some hope here, and the hope is Kulikov, from what I'm hearing, it may be able to come back mid-December, and Kachuk possibly the end of December. They're going to be back, and they're going to be back before the end of the season. Okay. And that's going to be a real boost to the team. That'll really help them and make a big difference as far as motivation for the team, and also a boost of confidence for everybody as well too. And then one of the other things, we had the greatest general manager not only in hockey but in all of sports with Bill Zito. Okay, I've never seen anybody like him. He is just. And he hasn't won the General Manager of the Year award. Okay, so that's a joke. That award is a joke because he should have won it at least 3 or 4 years in a row. A lot of people are saying, "Oh yeah, he's going to make a big move. They're going to make a big trade or everything right here with Barkov out and Kachuk out and everything." You know what? I think he's very happy with the way things are. Now we did pick up a defenseman that Ottawa put on waivers, and he's having trouble, I think, clearing. He's had some visa issues or whatever. He hasn't been able to join the Panthers yet, but everybody says he'll be a good fit for the Panthers. So I'm anxious to see him and get him in uniform and get him in a game. But Zito is not going to make a move just to make a move, just to fill a spot. All right. He's going to take a good, hard, long look before he does anything. And one thing, he won't give away assets without getting something in return. Conversely, going back to getting Seth Jones from the Blackhawks for Spencer Knight, okay? Yeah, we had to give up Spencer Knight, but look what we got in return. We got Seth Jones, and I think he's been a valuable addition to the blue line. And he was borderline. I was ready to put him in the players that are playing well. He's had a couple of skids. Now, one of the players, and I know a lot of people have commented about him, and I wanted to kind of, I'm going to wrap things up here in a minute or so, but Petrie that we got from the Red Wings. Kind of been a natural disaster out there. I don't know how else to put it. There's been a couple of plays that I saw that he just blew a tire, wasn't there for coverage, and the other team scored. And just some other plays. I think the Red Wings let him go for a reason. All right. I think he probably should retire. And no indifference to him. I just don't think he has it left in the tank. I really don't. It's just not there. And that's what I'm going to say about that. So all in all, it's not a doom and gloom kind of a thing. Like I said, we're only 7 games into the season. Remember that, okay? Keep that in the back of your mind, okay? We're 7 games here. We got a lot of time going here. And, just kind of let's just ride the coaster here right now. They may not win against Boston on Tuesday night. I'm not expecting that. All right. But I think maybe when they get back home, they're going to be playing the Penguins, who, by the way, are 4-2. They're not expected to do well this season, but yet they have a new head coach, and some of the players have had a little bit more of a spark in their jump. So we'll see. But and then they're playing Vegas on Saturday, so they got Penguins are not going to be a pushover. You're not going to be able to walk over them. And and I've always said, right now in this league, the way things are, okay, your bottom feeders, your teams that you don't expect are doing well. Look at Seattle; they beat Toronto in overtime the other night, and also Utah. Utah's playing well too. So they're really, San Jose. I feel they haven't won a game yet. So be that as it may, but there are no easy games here in the NHL. Everybody's out there, and especially when you're back-to-back Stanley Cup champions, everybody's gunning for you. Everybody is out there to try to, give their level best to try to beat you. And you need to bring your, they need to find their A game, and they will. Okay, it may not be against Boston. It may come back against Pittsburgh. It may come back against Vegas, but be patient here. Okay, it's early in the season. We're only 7 games into the season. It's not a time to push the panic button. I still like the way they handle things here, and Paul Maurice will get this taken care of. You can count on that. And I think a lot of these players will step up and need to and be the players that we know that they can be, especially like Sam Reinhart and Sam Bennett and Aaron Ekblad. Brad Marchand has been playing well. Mackey's been playing well. Bob's been playing well. It's Harris Hall. It's there. Okay. They'll get there. Just exercise some patience here, number one. And like I said, remember, this is early in the season. We're not even in November yet. So there's no pushing any panic button or anything here. Let's just stay the course. It may take a couple more games, and that's okay. They'll get back there. It's frustrating. I'm a fan too. I get frustrated. I've been frustrated this week. It's a hard week watching them lose. I don't like to see them lose. And one of the things I've always told my wife, I don't mind seeing my sports teams lose if they're putting in the effort. Okay. If they're not putting in the effort, that's what really gets under my skin. And for a large part this week, I haven't seen effort from them, especially yesterday against Buffalo. All right. They really did not have that effort there. But I think that's the key that Paul Maurice is going to focus on, is getting them to give that effort and to give that needed push to get them back in the win column and, get several under their belt, and then to feel good about themselves. For instance, the power play, get them cranking on the power play here and changing things up. Like I said, have faith in Paul and his staff. He's going to get things done. He's going to get them motivated and to get them in the right direction. Better days are ahead, guys. So as always, it's a great day for Florida Panthers hockey. Time to hunt.